Shanks's plan was to deliver the Nika fruit to Goldie Roger's son in the East Blue, the one he believed to be the new Joy Boy. However, along the way, he encountered a peculiar little boy who ended up eating the fruit meant for the most important person of this era. Shanks was furious about this, but then he thought, wait a minute, if zones have a consciousness, could it be that it made this boy eat it on purpose? Does the fruit believe that he is the new Joy Boy? Because of this, Shanks decides to do what he hadn't planned, make this boy his newest apprentice in the red-haired pirates. He gives the straw hat to the boy and sets off on a journey. The name of that boy? Monkey D. Luffy. And here's where our story begins. What if Luffy joined Shanks' crew? First, it's important to keep in mind that Luffy, unlike in the original story, does not have the goal of becoming the Pirate King, but instead aims to collect adventures throughout the journey with the red-haired pirates, the crew he developed a strong fondness for. Thus, he earns Shanks' respect and tells him he will help him become the Pirate King. Even though that wasn't Shanks' wish, he simply smiles and accepts Luffy's help. The issue is that in this world, Luffy doesn't know Ace or Sabo, which prevents them from sharing the Brotherhood's sake. Additionally, Shanks doesn't lose his arm, as he didn't need to let it be devoured by a Sea King to teach a lesson to the Straw Hat Boy. Finally, Luffy joins the crew as an apprentice, and Shanks begins showing him his hockey powers. He goes to the Calm Belt, encounters a Sea King, and lets the creature bite his arm, but shows that his body is so tough that the creature cannot break it. He also dodges attacks with his eyes closed and finally intimidates the creature with the Conqueror's Haki. However, he does not teach the Straw Hat what these three types of powers truly are. Shanks wants Luffy to discover these abilities on his own throughout the journey so that he understands and controls this strength consciously. Since it is still too early for Luffy to comprehend these powers, he trains in what he needs most, controlling his devil fruit abilities. Luffy spends all his time training not only with Shanks, but also with Beckman, Lucky Roo, Yasop, and the others, which leads them to become great friends. 5 years pass, and they are in the Grand Line with a young 12-year-old Luffy. However, the Straw Hat has yet to figure out what these three types of powers are. Although he would observe Beckman and Shanks fighting, he couldn't grasp it. Then Shanks invited Luffy to watch an epic battle. He was going to duel with his greatest opponent, Draco Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman. The goal was for Luffy to witness these powers and understand what they truly were. As the battle unfolded, Luffy finally absorbed enough knowledge to have an idea of what these three types of powers emanating from the red-haired were. Because of this, Luffy, who previously only trained his punches, will now start training Haki. This time, he finds it easier to learn, as he has spent 5 years studying these powers through the battles of the red-haired pirates. Another 5 years pass, and Luffy, now 17 years old, already knows how to use observation Haki and armament Haki. The Conqueror's Haki, however, he still does not know how to use, as he has not manifested this ability yet. Over those 5 years, Luffy became a well-known pirate during his journey with the red-haired pirates. His name is already famous across the Grand Line, and he has a bounty of 70 million berries. At this moment, he decides to visit Fuchsia village to check on news about his grandfather and show his friends how he is doing. During this visit, he ends up encountering Alvida's pirates, fights her, and saves Kobe. Kobe recognizes the famous Straw Hat of the red-haired pirates and cannot believe that pirates of that caliber could be kind. To prove it, Kobe decides to put Luffy in a challenging situation, to face the pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro. He takes Luffy to Shell's town, saying that if Luffy defeats that dangerous man, he will believe his words. Upon arrival, Luffy realizes that Zoro is a good person. Axe-Hand Morgan is pleased to see a pirate from the Grand Line in his territory, as it could enhance his reputation. Luffy easily defeats Morgan, saving Zoro and Kobe in the process. This earns Kobe's respect, and he decides to join the Marines. Zoro, on the other hand, is invited to join the red-haired pirates, where he will have great comrades, sail through the Grand Line, and become stronger. Luffy also takes the opportunity to visit the village of his comrade Yasop's son. He arrives just as Captain Kuro is attacking, saves the village, and decides to take Usopp to his father. On their way, they learn about a restaurant with the best food on the seas, the Barati. There, they meet Sanji, the cook who shares his dream of finding the All Blue in the Grand Line. Luffy reveals his true identity, invites Sanji to join them, and Sanji promptly accepts after being encouraged by Zeph. It's worth noting that Krieg's pirates appeared, and Luffy defeated them. However, Mihawk also showed up prompting Zoro to challenge him to a duel. Luffy makes it clear that he knows that man and that Zoro doesn't stand a chance against him. Nevertheless, the swordsman wants to understand the difference between their powers. Obviously, he loses, but this only motivates him even more to head to the Grand Line with Luffy. With 3 companions by his side, Luffy is on his way to the Grand Line to reunite with his captain. Along the way, they stop at Water 7, where they are surprised by an urgent call from Shanks via Dendenmushi. Shanks asks where Luffy is. As soon as he learns that the boy is in Water 7, he says, "Great, what luck that you're there. We've hit a snag. A war is starting and I need to prevent it from causing further damage. Before I head there, I have to deal with Kaido, who is also on his way to this war. Since you're around, take the sea train, infiltrate the gates of justice, and go straight to Marineford. I'm sorry to ask you this, but a war is being fought there, and you need to help Whitebeard and his sons." Luffy answers his captain's request and heads out with Sanji, Usopp, and Zoro. Interestingly, Newgate is annoyed to see that the reinforcements sent by Shanks are just a group of 4 kids. Still, Luffy demonstrates impressive power and proves to be very useful in the war. However, Sanji and Usopp are turned to stone by Boa Hancock. It is then that Luffy unconsciously unleashes his Haki of the King against the Pirate Empress, imposing his will over hers and forcing her to break the spell. After being confronted by a man with such strong determination, she ends up falling in love with the Straw Hat. Despite the help of Luffy and the others, Ace and Whitebeard end up dead, as Luffy still doesn't have enough power to overcome the admirals, including Akainu. It is at this moment that Shanks arrives at the war, puts an end to the conflict, and takes Luffy and his new companions with him. Additionally, this is where Usopp meets Yasop, and they take some time to strengthen their relationship. Shanks is pleased to discover that Luffy has awakened the Haki of the King. However, he wants Luffy and his companions to become the strongest in the New World, for only then will they be able to achieve their goal of finding the One Piece. Therefore, they will all dedicate themselves to 2 years of training. Luffy will train with Shanks on the 3 types of Haki. Sanji will train with Lucky Roo, Usopp will train with his father, and Zoro will spend a year training Haki with Beckman. After that, Shanks will ask Mihawk to train Zoro in swordsmanship for another year. 2 years pass, and Luffy and his companions become true monsters. Luffy learns to use all the advanced forms of the 3 types of Haki. Zoro and Sanji reach the same level as in the original version. Usopp, on the other hand, becomes one of the best sharpshooters in the world, mastering observation Haki, and so their journey begins in search of the One Piece. For this, they must obtain the 4 road poneglyphs. Shanks already has 1 road poneglyph in his territory in Elbaf. He says they can find another in Zoo with the Mink tribe. The remaining 2 are with Big Mom and Kaido. They arrive in Zoo just as Jack is attacking. They save the Minks, who inform them about the situation with Kinemon and Momonosuke in Punk Hazard. Thus, Shanks designates Luffy, Usopp, and Zoro to go there. The 3 set off while Sanji stays behind to cook for the crew. It is then that they receive a visit from Big Mom's pirates, who inform them that if Sanji does not attend the wedding with Pudding, blood will be spilled at the Baratie. For this reason, he leaves the crew and asks Shanks to deliver the message to Luffy. When Luffy arrives at Punk Hazard, he learns not only about the atrocities committed by Caesar Clown, but also discovers that the scientist was the mastermind behind the poisonous gas that killed so many minks. In this version, Luffy fights alongside Law to capture Caesar, which leads Law to suggest an alliance. However, Luffy, aware that piracy is filled with betrayals and loyal only to Shanks, refuses to form alliances with other pirates. It's heartbreaking to leave Law alone, but he continues with his own pirates, taking Caesar to Dressrosa to face Doflamingo. In Punk Hazard, Luffy allies himself with Kinemon and Momonosuke, who ask for his help to defeat Kaido. Just as he did with Law, Luffy hesitates to accept Momonosuke's proposal, stating that he needs to consult Shanks before making a decision. Upon reuniting with Shanks, he learns that Sanji has left with Big Mom's pirates. It is then that Shanks says, "Luffy, do you want me to be the king of the pirates? You're almost as strong as I am, and I know you can handle it. Rescue your friend in Whole Cake. Get the poneglyph from Big Mom. After that, save Wano country and obtain the poneglyph from Kaido. That way, the path to the One Piece will finally be open. Shanks explains that he will not participate in these battles because he needs to go to Marineford to talk to some people and then deal with a certain organization called Cross Guild, which could interfere with his plans. In reality, Shanks chooses not to go to avoid being the protagonist of these confrontations, wanting Luffy to reach his full potential by facing the Yonkou. And so, Luffy goes to Whole Cake, accompanied by Usopp, Zoro, Yasop, Rockstar, and 2 more pirates from the red-haired crew. He defeats Katakuri with less difficulty and takes the poneglyph from Big Mom. This same group heads to Wano, accompanied by a fleet of the red-haired pirates, reinforced by all the allies that the samurai have gathered. In the original version, Luffy, Zoro, Kid, Law, and Killer faced the Yonkou, but in this version, Luffy, Sanji, Usopp, Zoro, and Yasop face Big Mom and Kaido. In the end, Luffy awakens his fruit powers, defeats Kaido, and finally has all 4 road poneglyphs in hand. With the help of Kozuki Sukiyaki, they read the stones and chart a course to Laugh Tale. Upon reaching the island, Luffy hands the straw hat to Shanks, saying that they finally made it. However, Shanks asks Luffy to unleash the drums of liberation with his 5th gear. With the sounds of those beats, along with the energy of the sun god, Laugh Tale reveals itself, showing what the One Piece is. Then, Shanks places the straw hat on Luffy's head and says, "Congratulations, Luffy. You are the new king of the pirates." This version would be really cool, wouldn't it? Subscribe below and activate the notification bell so you won't miss the next What If stories here on our channel. Thank you very much for your attention, a big hug, and see you next time.